say that truth is stranger than fiction, and I've learned it the hard way frequently. There's so many times that people will say to me, this could never really happen, this story. But when you watch the stories that we're going to be telling on Final Twist, if I had written them in a novel, you would take the novel and you would throw it out the window and you'd send me a nasty email saying, this can't possibly have happened, this can't possibly be real, but it is. So truth really is stranger than fiction, and that had a lot of appeal to me. Well, it's tremendous. I mean, these are really stories told about people and the tragedies that they've gone through. And I hope we're telling their stories in a respectful manner. And most of the time, the families actually wanted these stories told. They want their loved ones remembered. So that's really important to me. Also, it's one thing to stir the pulse. It's another thing to stir the mind. But if Final Twist isn't also stirring your heart, if you don't care about these people, I don't feel like we've done our job, both as people who are trying to entertain or grip you and educate you, but also just as a human being. So you really want all of that in the story, and I think Final Twist delivers that. I'd say every one of these episodes has a moment that surprised me, that made my jaw drop. And again, maybe in a novel, I would have been able to figure it out, so to speak, but reality doesn't have to follow any rules. Fiction has to follow rules, reality doesn't have to follow rules. So there's several times in every episode. It's one of the reasons we call it Final Twist. We wanted to sort of tell the story the same way I try to do in my fiction, where there's one person you think did it, and then another, and then boom, at the end, you're completely surprised. And it was a lot of times where I pride myself in being able to figure it out. I can do that in fiction, but in reality, no. These are surprises that even I didn't see coming.
And your background gives you a deep understanding of how people construct stories about themselves. How did that sensibility inform the way you examined evidence and behavior in these cases?
Well, I'm especially interested in behavior. It's what makes the person cross that line. Everybody sort of has the moment when they get angry or does whatever, but where do they cross that line? What makes somebody do something this awful? And I think it's part of what we try to explore in Final Twist. It's not just who did it, but why they did it. We wanted a combination. We wanted sort of the everyman, ordinary family situations for the most part, because that's a lot of what I write about. And then one smaller thing, if we can, goes wrong that sets off everything else. Really important for me not just to be able to do the twists and the turns that we try to do, but again, that people feel and people understand that we have a top documentary maker that we ended up hooking up who's done a million really great stuff. So we want to be able to tell the story in one TV hour. So it had to fit certain criteria and the twists and turns that a viewer wants to see. Yeah, I just think social media is unfortunately causes a lot of issues, and people just sort of believe, and it goes on from there. And in this case, in the case of Billy and Billy, which is such a tragic story, but it starts with a simple social media request. That's how small it starts, and it goes in places you will never imagine and expect. And the final revelation of what happened to Billy and Billy, besides being tragic, is just devastating and surprising. I think people will really be moved by what they see on Final Twist in that episode.
This case begins with cyberbullying and ultimately escalates into catfishing and murder. You've spoken about attention functioning almost like an addiction in this story. From your perspective, how did the pursuit of attention contribute to the escalation? And what does this case suggest about broader social conditions that allow such behavior to take hold?
Wow, that's a heavy question.
I know. Sorry.
Wow. That's all right. No, I do think that the problem with social media is it's naturally we all want likes, and it's very performative, and it's not the real world. People are culling what they want you to see of them. What's sort of interesting about it is sometimes you can often see the desperation behind the actual post, even when the posts are sort of sunny and bright. If you look at them closely as someone who likes to develop characters and story, you can see that they're not what they want them to be, but there's a certain desperation that goes on online, a certain need for attention. If you're an attention seeker, it's a really dangerous place to be. Yeah, it's interesting. When people want to do a con, the farther out they go, the more believable it is. Maybe because if it's close, you're questioning it, but you sort of say, that's such a ridiculous story that it has to be true. And I think that's why sometimes the more outlandish the con, the more crazy you say. If it's just saying I'm your neighbor, but no, I work for the CIA or I'm president of the United States, people have a tendency to believe something more outlandish more. Also, in a lot of cult behavior, they will put something really outlandish because making you buy into it will make you buy into everything else. If you can believe that, we see it a lot in our politics too, then you sort of have to stick with them elsewhere. So it's intentional that it's way outlandish. And it's one of the things that Final Twist will also be examining. I'm not sure what it says about how social media gets involved or whatever else. I think it's more, really in the end, it's more about human behavior. And I'm not sure that would have gone differently had there not been social media. There may have been some other way that this tragedy still would have unfolded. But at the same time, it's a terrible tool. And so I don't know what you can do about it. I don't know if you can police it, but as studying human beings and studying human nature, these cases in Final Twist, I think, are really compelling and interesting in that way too. So, we all like true crime. We all like to figure it out, but we see how human the cops are. We see how human the victims are, and we need to see why people cross that line. That's the part that really sort of fascinates us. Why do people cross that line, and how can we stop that from happening again?
The case raises uncomfortable questions about how compassion can be manipulated. How do we talk honestly about manufactured victimhood without undermining genuine victims who need social platforms to be heard?
It's a real issue, and if I had the answer to it, I'd probably be doing something other than either hosting a true crime show or making up fiction, making up stuff for a living. I don't really have the answer, but there's no question that I think one of the things we all need to do is just more critically think. Don't buy into whatever you're seeing online. You're not being educated online, whatever you think you're learning online. If you're joining groups that are always thinking the same as you, that's something to worry about. Activism mixed with ignorance is more dangerous than no activism. You think you have to do something, I really don't know enough about it, but my friends are all joining this side. That's more dangerous than if you just stay quiet. Silence is not murder, as they say. It's actually, online, it's the opposite. Ignorance, which is really what spreads. And you don't know. You can't know all of these things, and people yet are pressured to try to learn and know all of these things. Oh my God, I got to comment on that, even though I really don't know anything about it. So what do? You follow your group, and that becomes tribal and terrible. And so you have to be really wary. I think, again, we always have to step back, and anything we see online, assume is not real for a moment. Assume is fake. And also just show more compassion, be kinder. It's really not that difficult. And also, be wary. There's a lot of people online. You don't really know who's behind any of these masks. You don't know in real life either, to some degree, but you know even less online. So be careful and try to think critically, and believe nothing that you first see. I feel differently because I get to be involved in my adaptations. So especially with the Netflix shows right now, Runaway is on, and I was involved in it tremendously. So I can't have that out, that I say, oh, if it's no good, it's not my fault. Well, but if it's really good, then it is. It's based off my book. Writers kind of want to have it both ways. I'll take the hit and I'll take the love for it, but I don't really like to run away. I think it's something that we writers say to be protective, because a lot of times we don't have the power and we don't have the control. So it's kind of like, oh, that girl, I really didn't like her anyway. You know what I mean? Even though you did. So with the shows, it's like, oh, I don't care if it's a good adaptation as long as they pay me. Writers care. We all care. We want it to be good. And so do I. I want Runaway to be that show that you turn on Netflix and you say, I'm just going to watch one episode. And the next thing you know, the day is gone. And all 8 have been binged. That's my hope for you. Oh, I'm pretty involved. I like to be involved. Again, I want to take the hit. Billie Jean King, the legendary tennis player, has an expression: pressure is a privilege. And so I love to be able to have the pressure on me when these are my books. At the same time, I don't care if it's like the book. There's a famous story of the writer James Cain, who wrote A Postman Rings Twice and Double Indemnity. And somebody asked him, don't you hate what Hollywood has done to your books? And he said, they've done nothing to my books. They're right there on the shelf. It's the same thing. The book is one experience. The TV series is another. I don't really care if one has fidelity to the other. It just both have to be as entertaining as possible. Yeah, I really like doing that, sort of a quiet suburban neighborhood. Even though a lot of them are filmed overseas, the battleground of the American dream, where you're supposed to go and you have a picket fence and you raise 2.4 kids and have a 2-car garage, and now life's perfect, right? But where that dream comes true is a place that I can quickly darken and make into a nightmare. You can't really have, you can't have an up without a down, you can't have a left without a right, and you can't really have the dark noir without the bright light. So that's the milieu that I like to play in. In fact, I think Final Twist plays into that milieu too. We try finding normal, happy suburban people. Just sometimes it can be one little thing, that quiet pond, one little pebble can reverberate, ripple, cause tremendous destruction.
Yeah. And Shelter introduces your work to a younger audience. How did adapting a story centered on teens change the way suspense and danger were framed? And do you see Shelter as an entry point for a new generation of viewers who may later discover your adult novels?
Well, I hope so. I mean, I really love filming Shelter. We filmed it in New Jersey. We actually filmed it at my high school, which is a very strange experience to go back to your high school this many years later and know it. Oh, you know, they would say, oh, we're in room E117. They'd be, where's that? Oh, I know, it's still downstairs over. I still would know all that stuff, yet I don't think I could find my own house if I was walking through my town. So it was a really interesting experience. And I love the suspense and what goes on in the high school world, where everything just feels so important. And I kind of want to tell kids it's not that important. Relax, it's going to be okay. But it was really kind of a fun place. And plus my daughter, who's obviously quite younger, a lot younger than me, wrote most of that series based off my books. And so she had a better voice, I think, for the young people than I did. I love hidden secrets. I mean, I love that kind of a thing. And in the case of The Stranger, it starts off with a father with 2 kids, seems quite happy. In the TV series, a woman comes up to him and says, you know, you didn't have to stay with your wife. What? She wasn't really pregnant that last time. She faked it, and then she faked a miscarriage just to keep you, and then just kind of walks away and gives him some proof. And, you know, it's like dropping a bomb on a guy. What does he do from there? That kind of thing right away is sort of, I find compelling. How's he going to react? What's going to happen when he confronts his wife with this information? And then this same character, the stranger, is dropping these kind of bombs on various lives. Just thought it was a compelling story, and you can watch it now on Netflix or read the book, either one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your
do
choice.
Both, right?
Yeah, do both. And then you can tell me what you like better. As long as you're doing both, I don't really care which one you want to say is better.
And you know, with Final Twist coming up and Runaway, what's so exciting about having these 2 different projects running at the same time? And then also, what can you say about, you know, anything else that's coming up TV-wise? Because I know that you've got other things coming down the pike. Well,
it's really cool because I have this fiction gripping 8-part series on Netflix right now that you will just binge. And now with Final Twist on CBS, you have once a week, Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. You can watch it then streaming on Paramount Plus, but a little more appointment TV. Each episode is a separate story. We're able to tell the whole true crime story in 1 hour, and these are real. This is a new world sort of for me too. I've always made stuff up for a living. So to be able to actually tell people's truths has been really interesting and eye-opening for me. So to have both going on right now at the same time is a big thrill. We just finished filming a new Netflix series. It'll be an 8-part based off my novel, I Will Find You, starring Sam Worthington from Avatar, Britt Lower, who played Heliar in Severance recently, and Milo Ventimiglia from This Is Us. And that'll be out sometime later on in 2026, an American Netflix series. And I'm very excited for people to see that too.